Hi, it's Steve Hargadon, and welcome to our third keynote of the Global STEMX Education Conference. This has really been fun. Thanks so much to our conference sponsors. This is the only recognition they get, and we have to give them some real props for that. Great to have them supporting the conference, and great to have them allowing us to do this for free. This is a chance for you to indicate where you're listening from or participating from. Look for the star to the left of the map. It's the second icon down. You click on that twice, and then you click on the map, and you can also put a note in the chat. Let us know the time, the temperature, anything that gives Cristin an idea of where you are in the world. And as we move forward from this map, you're still welcome to put the notes in the chat. In fact, please do. Cristin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Steve. We're really thrilled to be able to be here, and thank you for organizing this. I know that putting together a large education conference is never an easy thing, so congratulations on putting together a great virtual conference that people can attend for free. I know that everyone's getting a ton of value from it, so thanks for that. And I see that there are people from all over the place, mostly in the U.S. I see people from Hawaii and Knoxville and Fort Collins and Wyoming and people from all over the place. So welcome, everybody. It's so nice to be able to speak with you. So I'm here to talk with you a little bit about the Google Science Fair. Probably my favorite part of my job. What we do at Google is every year we run an online science fair where we invite students between the ages of 13 to 18 to try and change the world through scientific inquiry. It is a program that is available all over the world, as I said, in 13 different languages. This year, the competition started in January, and it was accepting applications until April 30th. So we took in all of our applications by April 30th, and we selected a top 15. Well, first we selected a top 90 finalists, and then we selected our top 15 finalists who are actually coming here to Mountain View. They are coming here to Mountain View this weekend, so we're really, really excited. The Google Science Fair final event happens on Monday, September 23rd, and we will actually be broadcasting it on our Google Science Fair page, so googlesciencefair.com. Also on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Google Science Fair, and also on our Google Plus page. If you go to Google Plus, you can just search for Google Science Fair and start following us. We actually share a ton of really interesting stuff on the Google Science Fair Google Plus page every day. Tons of interesting science facts, not just stuff about our science fair, but stuff about science all over the world. So we're really excited to be able to work on this. So the Google Science Fair has been such a huge surprise to us. What we've learned is that kids all over the world really care, really care about changing the now and changing the future. And what we've learned is that kids are way smarter than we ever thought they were. And so the first thing I'm going to do is share a video of last year's winner. Her name is Brittany Winger, and she's from Florida. She'll tell you a little bit about herself. And tell you a little bit about her project, and you'll get a good sense of the really innovative, world-changing projects that we get to see here at Google. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Steve to start running the video.
Okay, so I'm the video guy. I'm going to put this video on a web tour, and that doesn't always work. So I'm also going to put the link in the chat. If you don't see it in the web tour, click on the link in the chat. Here we go.
Fingers crossed.
Do click start if yours doesn't start automatically.
I'm Brittany. I'm 18 and I live in Florida in the U.S. Almost every day, I read the latest science news and research about it because it is so exciting to see the breakthroughs being made. I became fascinated by an article on artificial intelligence, and I decided to learn how to program. Coding was a real challenge, and it took a few attempts to get it to work. Back when I was little, I really grew to idolize the men and women in scrubs who were using science every day to save lives. My brother was born premature, and we spent a lot of time in the hospital for his first year. Then when I was 15, my cousin was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I saw firsthand the impact it had on women and families. I decided I wanted to make a difference by trying to make the experience a little bit better for those involved. I was able to teach the computer how to diagnose breast cancer by making it think like the brain to detect patterns far too complex for humans to work with. This means it can determine if a breast mass is malignant or not. It's really important because the least invasive test for breast cancer is also the least conclusive. Most doctors refuse to use these biopsies. If they could be used, it could lead to earlier detection and a better process for the patient. I spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours researching for over 2 years, creating a neural network tool for doctors to use when analyzing results. When the application actually diagnosed masses successfully, it was very exciting. It diagnoses over 99% of cancer patients correctly. And since it is deployed as a cloud service, it has the potential to be that is an amazing.
Back to you, Cristin.
Thanks. So I definitely recommend you watch Jonah later on if you get the chance. He is really a terrific kid. Okay, so why did we decide to do the Google Science Fair? Well, everyone loves science. Science makes the world go around. And a lot of people at Google participated in science fairs when they were young. Science fairs, interestingly enough, tend to be a very American phenomenon. So that was a problem we wanted to try and solve. We asked our colleagues all over the company, did you participate in a science fair when you were younger? And as I said, many of them said yes, many of our American colleagues. And a lot of our international colleagues said, no, that sounds kind of interesting. And we said, this is kind of a problem that we could solve because, as you guys know in the U.S., science fairs generally happen live and in person and in school gym. They look something like this. And there are a number of challenges about science fairs like this. They're not entirely inclusive. If you live somewhere very far away, it might be very expensive to get to a science fair. Your school might not have a science fair. And if you're really interested in science and really interested in doing inquiry-based research, you may not have the structure that you need to do a science fair. So we wanted to solve that for kids in these places, in the remote places, and also kids in the rest of the world who didn't necessarily have science fairs at all. So we decided to put the science fair online, and we did that in 2011. That was our first year, and it was really about making this inclusive science fair, science competition for kids, high school kids for the most part between the ages of 13 to 18. And as we did that, we started to think about, okay, well, what else do we need to do? Google is a pretty credible science brand from a computer science standpoint. But from a lot of other sciences, from applied sciences, we're not necessarily the first people that you think of, or the first company that you think of, or the first organization that you think of. So we started to think, who are some of those organizations? And we reached out to partner with them. So we've had some really terrific partners throughout the years for all 3 years of the science fair that we've been running thus far. Specifically, along with us, CERN in Switzerland, which is a bunch of great physicists, as you guys probably know. LEGO in Denmark, and also here in the U.S. have been terrific partners for us. National Geographic has been a really wonderful partner, and they provide us with a ton of really interesting scientists and explorers, and Scientific American has been such a wonderful partner. We work very closely with their editor-in-chief, Mariette DiCristina, who has been so kind to introduce us to so many scientists all over the world. So we've been extremely lucky to have these terrific partners in the science realm. So in 2011, what did we want to do? Well, we wanted to make the science fair more international. We wanted kids from all over the world, as I mentioned. And we wanted to work with Google offices to really spread the word from Switzerland, who did outreach with local stories, to sub-Saharan Africa. We really wanted to get the chance to bring the story out to as many people as possible. And so what happened? Well, we got really great results our first year out. We had about 10,000 kids participating from across 91 countries. People were really excited. You know, news articles were coming out all the time. There was great press around it, and people were excited. What you see here is a photo of our top 15 finalists the first year, and they are really some terrific kids. We have kept in touch with most of them, and they are all still working in the science field. A number of them are Google student ambassadors, which is terrific as part of what they do in college. So our top 15 finalists were flown to Mountain View. They presented their projects in front of a panel of tech innovators and renowned scientists, including folks like Kary Mullis, who is a Nobel laureate for chemistry, Vint Cerf, who's widely known as the father of the internet, and the inventor Dean Kamen, who has made tons of amazing inventions like the Segway and the Luke arm and tons of amazing prosthetics that help people in their lives. So it was a really wonderful event. The kids had a really terrific time, and we got to learn so much from the kids and so much about these kids, so much about their passion, and we really just fell in love with them. So what happened? Well, you know, when we first got the kids, you know, when we first met the kids and we had them in an exhibit hall, we heard from a lot of Googlers, a lot of moms. You know, but 7 of these kids, or most of these kids, I think 9 of them actually, were boys. Let me just count. Yeah, I think 9 of the kids were boys. And they were sort of unhappy about this. They said, you know, what's going on? You guys are only bringing in boys. And you know, we were sort of surprised about it, but you know, boys are interested in science. What we saw when we got the actual submissions were that really about half the kids were boys and half the kids were girls. So it was really interesting because I think it wasn't necessarily what we expected. In any event, we got into the judges' room. You know, the judges went through the projects. They had a very stringent way of grading the projects and talking through them. And the end result was really remarkable. The top 3 prizes, so the prize for the 13 to 14 age group, the 15 to 16 age group, and the 17 to 18 age group, which is how we actually give out the prizes by age group. They were all girls. And not only that, they were all American girls, which was really surprising because they were kids from all over the world. So the top 3 prizes were won by American girls. In the center, our grand prize winner, Sri Bose, was in our 17 to 18 age group, and she did a project about ovarian cancer. A really amazing young woman and really, really inspiring. It was inspiring to us and also inspiring to many people in the world. And what wound up happening after that was there was so much interest in these 3 girls. They got to go to 10 Women. They got to be on CNN. They got to be in magazines. And most excitingly, I'm sure for them, they got to meet President Obama in the Oval Office, which is what you see there. And President Obama has been really supportive in saying, you know what, these are the kids who should be on the covers of magazines. These are the kids who should be, you know, our kids should be looking up to, not basketball players and not necessarily rock stars or even along with those people. These are also the kids that our kids should be looking up to. And so we were really thrilled to have the support of the White House and have the support of President Obama and to be able to work with all of these girls and spread their messages, spread their work all over the world. And so it was a really, and somebody just wrote, Peggy George, they are rock stars. You're right, Peggy. I couldn't agree with you more. They are rock stars. So it was really such a surprise the first day of the Google Science Fair for us, and such a great program, which we are really, really proud of. So the next year, 2012, more global. What you could see is we wanted to be really even more international. At this point, we started to accept entries in 13 languages, and we localized all aspects of our competition. Because the first year we ran in English alone, and we heard from a ton of kids, you know, it's just unfair. They wanted to be able to submit projects in their native languages as they should be able to. So we did a lot to really make sure that we could be as inclusive and international as possible. One of the other things we wanted to do was be even more inclusive when we were looking at what kind of projects we were judging, what kind of projects we saw as being very special. So we acknowledge that all students around the world don't have the same access to resources as students in the developing world, in the developed world, especially in the U.S., where many of our finalists had really sophisticated labs that they could work in. We were particularly inspired by one of our finalists in 2011. Her name is Harini Ravichandran, and she's from India. She actually is now in the United States, where she attends Stanford University. But her project addressed power outages in rural communities throughout the developing world. Harini, it's important to note, did not win, but we wanted to find a way to reward a project like Harini and provide these kinds of projects with support and mentorship that they would need in order to be further developed, because Harini's project was really trying to solve a problem in her community, in her local community, and we thought that was amazing. And Scientific American especially thought that was amazing. So in partnership with Scientific American, we created the Science in Action Award. It was launched last year, and it was awarding $50,000 and a year's worth of mentoring on the project to make it a practical difference by addressing an environmental, health, or resource challenge. And the prize is intended to help the winner continue their research and further develop their project in their community where they wanted their project to make a difference. So it was a big change for us to add this additional prize, and we were really grateful to work so closely with Scientific American on it. And so last year, again, we brought all our kids to Mountain View, California, and got to meet them again, and we awarded those kids with the prizes. So here are our top 3 winners. Our top winner was Brittany Winger, and she, as we saw, did a project on neural networks and exploring how they could help diagnose breast cancer with fine needle aspirates earlier on. And then you can also see next to her is Jonah, and so Jonah did a project on exploring tactile hearing for people with hearing problems and the deaf. And the kids next to him was a group project, and they explored water, and specifically different pieces of water. So they were looking at different projects in exploring water and trying to understand the biomes in water in each one of these, in different environments. I'm hacking up their project. They would be much better to describe it. And if you go into our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see more about their project about water. And these kids were from Spain. So really a terrific group of kids really representing. And also, we wanted to award that Scientific American project the Science in Action Award. And so we got to do that. And we met these amazing boys from Swaziland, and I'm going to actually play another video now, and they will tell you a little bit about their project.
So this is Steve again, and I'm going to go through the same exercise. I'll put the video on the web tour. I'll also put it in the chat. If it doesn't play for you on the web tour, quickly click on that link in the chat.
material and manufacturing phase. Built only ways for development, but we still account for many challenges that our country is facing. I'm interested in getting knowledge and understanding how things work. It's irrelevant to knowledge. We cannot know intricate personality. I volunteered in many environmental projects. And this has given me opportunities to learn new ways. I know that I also continue sports and go to school with technique. I believe young people enjoy asking questions to solve problems, and that's why I love science so much. My father is a farmer. Like most job research systems farmers, because of job controlling working, it does not produce enough food each year. Because of food insecurity, many families in Southern provide food aid. Until I believe his family situation and that of many others share can change for the better. We decided to dedicate our time to try to find a way to take better for farmers. We were inspired by our science teacher, Nicholas Taylor, to find a solution. Hydroponic farming is a method of growing produce without soil. This system can be considered a good option, but for poor farmers it is too expensive. We developed a remote simplified hydroponics method to grow vegetables using a nutrient solution made from matured chicken manure. This new vegetable to test if these or traditional methods produce better results, even the same area of land. We found out that our system increased the amount produced by 140%. I know the problem has got these problems with education. By employing farmers with knowledge of some
Back to you, Cristin.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Actually, I'm going to go back one more slide and talk and really tell you exactly what these kids did and tell you a little bit more about what happened last year with our finalists in our 2012 science fair. So we received entries from over 100 countries in 2012. Over 50% of those entries came from outside the U.S., and that was really what we were hoping for when we provided all these localized language opportunities for submission. Our 15 finalists came to us last year from Canada, India, Malta, Singapore, Swaziland, the Ukraine, and the U.S., and included several teams. What we'd seen the year before were no teams. They were all single scientists, but this year they were scientist teams. Their projects were just as diverse. So some of their projects were improving the experience of listening to music for the deaf, creating a solar array that uses the cells itself to find its best position, making a 3D display that's really three-dimensional and not an optical illusion, and capturing the energy of raindrops. The grand prize winner was, as we showed you, Brittany Winger from Lakewood Ranch, Florida, who developed a neural network to help diagnose breast cancer earlier and less invasively. Jonah Cohn, who's standing next to her right, won in the 13 to 14 year age group. He's from San Diego, and he designed a device to better allow deaf people to feel music, which is really interesting. You can watch his video on our YouTube channel. And Sergio Pascual, Ivan Herbias Rodriguez, and Marcos Ochoa won in the 15 to 16 age group for their documentation of microscopic life in fresh water. So that's what they did last year. And really, again, such inspiring kids that we were so proud to meet and so excited to work with. And we've worked with Brittany throughout the year as she has traveled around talking about her project. What an amazing, poised, and thoughtful young woman she is. So 2013, so we're up to this year. We're really excited about this year. We wanted this year to be even more inspirational, more aspirational for our kids, and show the world that young people have the ability to change the world. And we really saw that in the past 2 years when we were so inspired by our kids. What we found out was they were all doing really groundbreaking work that had the ability to bring forth really intense and possible change. And we wanted to inspire other kids around the world that they also had the ability to do this. And we wanted to make them feel that world-changing scientific discoveries could possibly be attainable, even by them as really young people. So what we did was we started to do a lot of research, and what we found out was some of the most famous scientists that we all know of really started young. So we had this great poster campaign where we gave a scientist and their age and then talked about what they did at that particular age. So you could see Alexander Graham Bell, age 18, started experimenting with sound, went on to invent the telephone. And you can see all the different scientists included here that really brought forth change that they started working on at very young ages. And we actually had a launch video to really put forth this concept. So again, I'm going to ask Steve to launch the video, please. Thanks, Steve.
Here we go again. Here's the video. If it doesn't start for you, click on the link in the chat. Okie doke.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for the recommendation on the books about how kids can change the world. So I don't know if you guys are all following along on this chat, but I think that this is worth mentioning. Steve posted 2 books. Steve, I'm trying to, oh, here they are. Legendary Learners and Teen 2.0. Is that 1 book, or I think it's 2 books? Steve?
There are 2 books. The first one, Teen 2.0, is an incredible view of what teens over the course of history have done.
I have not read that book. I can't wait to read it. Thank you. Okay, so for this year, along with that campaign, and so we did that launch video because, we really wanted kids to know, all of these people who have done inspiring things in the science space really just started investigating them, started figuring them out when they were younger, and we wanted kids to be inspired to do the same thing. So we launched that video, and I saw somebody like the music. That's Alt J. It's a great band. So the other thing we wanted to do this year was we wanted it to be more inspirational, and we wanted to engage kids throughout the entire process. So generally what we'd been doing was saying, hey kids, you want to do a science project? Cool. Here's a format. Do your science project, and we'll see you in a couple of months. And instead, we wanted to be able to engage kids. We wanted to help them throughout the process of putting together their science project. And we also wanted to inspire them and introduce them to people who are really working in science in the field. So what we did was we created a series of Hangouts on air, which helped students enter by answering their questions and offering inspiration from amazing scientists. So we did things like exploring asteroids with Peter Diamandis, dissecting squid with Professor William Gilly, and we even took them underground to explore CERN. And just to give you a little bit of background on what Hangouts on Air are, if you don't know what they are, through Google+, they're the same as Google Hangouts, but you can actually broadcast your Hangout to the public. So you can invite folks to your Hangouts, just as you normally would, but if your YouTube and Google+ channel are set up correctly, you can also broadcast so many other people can join. So you're not limited to, say 10 people. You can broadcast so a lot of other people can join, and they can also ask questions on a back channel, like on your Google+ page, or on your YouTube page if you're also broadcasting there. So it's a really nice way to engage people and get them to participate if you have a limited number of people, who you can actually talk with live back and forth. So we saw a lot of great participation here, and tons of people started to join our Google+ channel to follow these folks, and then also to kind of follow our stream throughout the day. So we have more than 1 million folks following us on Google+, which is really exciting, and learning about what's going on in the science space. So what about what happened? What were the results of that? Well, so this year, we saw even more kids from the science area. We were still doing localized languages, so more translated languages, but we saw about 100,000 kids participating, and in the end, we received thousands of projects from over 120 countries. Judging was really, really tough, which is testament to the caliber of our top 15 global finalist projects that were selected this year. So this year we have 8 countries represented: Canada, the US, Russia, Singapore, Turkey, India, Greece, and Australia, making it even more of a global competition than it was last year. So for the 2013 final girls rule, we have 12 girls, including 2 teams of girls, as compared with 6 boys this year. So we saw tons of girls participating this year, which is really great news. And the project tackled a diverse range of topics, from a more efficient algorithm for encryption and a green way to clean water, through a movement-enhancing exoskeleton glove and a battery-free flashlight, which is really cool, which you can check out. And you can actually see these are all of the kids. We are welcoming these kids this weekend actually. We'll get to meet them on Saturday when they all fly into Mountain View and start their journey here live. So along with our global finalists in June, we also announced the winner of the Scientific American Science in Action Award. This year, the prize went to Elif Bilgin of Istanbul, Turkey, for her project which addresses the environmental issue of petroleum-based plastics, with her project on creating bioplastics from banana peels. And she does a really great job of explaining, if you get a chance and you go to our site, each one of the kids explains in a recorded hangout what their project was, and what she did was she wanted to understand plastics. And she lives in this big city, and it's filled with environmental damage and pollution. And she watched a video where she learned a lot about how the ocean was being damaged environmentally and polluted environmentally. Everything to what's happening in different small cities to floating barges of plastic in the middle of the ocean. And so in order to address this, she wanted to try and understand if there was a different way that she could address things that need plastic, and she found out about bioplastics. And bioplastics are made from, obviously biological objects. Mostly they're made from potatoes, but instead of using potatoes, which are, an actual source of food, she wanted to figure out if she could use some sort of waste, which led her to the banana peel, which, because of its starch content, makes it a good candidate for making plastics. And so, really interesting project. If you check it out online, the ingenuity of her project that improves on current methods by recycling waste materials otherwise thrown away every day. So interesting what can happen with the banana peel. So definitely check out her project. And then this year, we also wanted to engage the public a little bit more. So we wanted them to get to know our finalists and understand their projects. One of the things I said earlier was every year we bring the kids to Mountain View and we fall in love with the kids. And we wanted the audience to fall in love with the kids too. We wanted the public to fall in love with the kids. So we had the kids do these hangouts where they explained their projects, they talked about what they were doing. And we wanted people to fall in love this year. And we introduced the Voters' Choice Award, where the public could vote on the project that captured their imagination and rewarded the students who they thought were thinking biggest. At the end of August, the votes were counted and we had our winner. So again, Elif Bilgin won with her banana plastic. The public was so captured by the ingenuity of Elif's project, and it was really amazing to see her home country of Turkey really rally behind this talented scientist through voting, the press, and social media. I mean, Elif is really pretty famous now in Turkey, which is crazy. There is actual graffiti on the walls of Turkey with her name on it. So really exciting. So the thing that I mentioned in the beginning and what I really want you guys to join us for is our finalist event that's happening on Monday. So it's happening on Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it will be broadcast on our Google Science Fair site, googlesciencefair.com, on our Google Science Fair Google Plus page. If you go to Google Plus and search Google Science Fair, you can follow us there, and on our Google Science Fair YouTube channel, googlesciencefair.com, youtube.com/Google Science Fair. To get you a little bit excited about what happens at our finalist event, and this, I'm going to show you a little film about what happened last year at our finalist event, and at the end of it, you'll see, or throughout it, you'll actually see our gala, which is what we're broadcasting. So I'm going to show one more video. Take it away, Steve.
That's my cue. I'm going to put the video in the web tour. If it doesn't show up for you, I'll put it in the chat as well. And we're back.
All right, thanks, Steve. Okay, so I'm just going to end with this. So we are, as I said, about to have our awards gala. It is this Monday, September 27th, from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and you can watch it on our googlesciencefair.com site. You can watch it on our Google Plus page. Go to Google Plus and search for Google Science Fair and start following us. And on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Google Science Fair. And please, spread the word, share with your social community, your social media communities, your friends, your schools. If you want, you can have viewing parties in your schools. We'd love to get as many kids inspired by our kids and starting to work on science as is possible. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
So if you have a question for Cristin, thank you, Cristin. I'm going to clap for you here. It's so hard to find the applause button here, but it's under the smiley face. That was really inspiring. If you have questions for Cristin, you can put them in the chat, or you can raise your virtual hand. That's the third icon over in the participant box. We'll give you a couple of minutes here. Those are really inspiring videos, Cristin. I'm sure you know that.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. Yeah, these kids are amazing. They are incredible. Ooh, I heard a ping.
That looked like a hand, and then it disappeared. Maybe it was a clap.
Well, do you have any questions, Steve, that you might want to ask on behalf of our audience?
Oh, you're nice to put me on the spot. Since I'm managing about three rooms, I'm managing about 3 rooms right now. I think I'll pass. But it does just sound like such a great program, and I think you have a lot to be proud of there.
Oh, we're really proud of these kids. Someone wrote, inspiring. Yeah, the kids are really inspiring. I didn't mention the prizes. They sometimes seem a little bit beside the point to me. They are important, and I know they're important to the kids. So the winning prize gets a $50,000 scholarship, and they also get a trip to the Galapagos Islands sponsored by National Geographic. And the 2 second place prizes get $25,000 scholarships. And each one of the top 3 kids also gets an experience at one of either at Google or our partner companies. So it's sort of an internship experience or working experience either at Google, at CERN, or at Lego. So those are some of the things they get. Their schools get lifetime memberships, digital memberships of Scientific American as well.
We do have a question from Amy. How can adults who work with kids facilitate entry into this contest?
That's a really good question, Amy. So every year we launch probably around the end of January, not probably. And so keep an eye on our site, which is googlesciencefair.com, and also our Google Plus page. If you go to Google Plus and just search for us, you can follow us, and we send information there. And there's information on the site, and what you can do is share the information on your site. You can share our videos. You can print out our posters and just get your kids involved. And there are different things on the site. Can I actually share the site, Steve?
Yeah, is it googlesciencefair.com?
Yeah, it's googlesciencefair.com.
Do you want me to show anything in particular?
Yeah, let me just look at the site.
If you are not able to see the site in the web tour, I did put the link in the chat.
Yeah, hang on just one sec.
Cristin, any clicking you do on that site won't actually take the audience unless you click the follow.
No, I know. I'm actually just going into the site myself on my own browser so that I can interact with it, because for some reason I'm having a hard time connecting my mind and my fingers and my mouth, so it's easier for me to actually navigate through the site myself. Okay, I know where we go. So if you click on the competition, judges. And just a sec.
Keep thinking of questions for Cristin. I see there are two that I'll ask her when she's not concentrating.
Well, so we have information for teachers on the site. When the site will relaunch, there will be information for teachers if you want to get your kids involved that you'll be able to see on the site. Again, when we launch one more time in January. And I saw that people also wanted to know if anyone has gotten their groups involved. So yes, I mean, I think that generally what we ask folks to do is work with their kids to actually just provide information about the fact that this exists. And then from there, the kids can generally get to this via a browser and start thinking about their projects. So if they're not doing science projects in their schools, oftentimes there are ways that your group can help them reach out to scientists, can help them reach out to researchers, and get them involved in science that way. Otherwise, what we've seen other teachers do is set up viewing schedules where they sit in on our Hangouts on air and learn from the different scientists that we bring live to people through our Google Plus page.
Terrific. There was a question, a pretty specific one. Are Tesla Motors or Solar City partner companies also? Maybe companies partners?
They are not our partners. Our first year we did an event at Tesla Motors, but they are not partners specifically for this program. For this program, our only partners right now are LEGO, CERN, Scientific American, and National Geographic. Those are our partners.
Pretty good partners. Okay, final chance.
They're pretty good partners.
Final chance to ask Cristin questions. You can either put a question in the chat or you can raise your virtual hand and we'll give you the microphone. I think we may be done. Thank you, Cristin.
Thank you, Steve, and thanks again for setting up this entire conference. It's great to be able to talk with teachers and have teachers really learn from each other.
Most appreciated. The recordings are all going up immediately after the sessions. There are over 200 sessions, so we know that there are sessions you can't attend that you'll watch the recordings for later, and those are going up immediately. And we have 5 sessions coming up at the top of the hour. So do go to stemxcom.com and look at the calendar, and please enjoy. Thanks, Cristin. Thanks, everybody.
Steve, Steve? Really quick, I saw a question that I think we may have missed, and I want to be able to answer it. Is there follow-up with the kids who didn't win? Yeah, there is follow-up with the kids who didn't win. So we send them all a thank you. We let them know that they didn't win. We encourage them to participate again. We send small gifts to our 90 finalists all over the world who didn't win, and the kids who didn't win that are in Mountain View are actually spending basically 4 days with us, and the day after we take them on a great tour of San Francisco, and they get to spend a lot of time with the scientists who are the judges. A lot of times the contacts that they get to make with those judges are really so worthwhile, and the judges spend a lot of time talking to these kids throughout the year. They all seem to make themselves available to the kids because they're so inspired by them. So we do a ton of follow-up with the kids, and we follow up with the kids who have participated the following year to encourage them to participate again and try again.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen, for being persistent. Okay, thank you, Cristin.
All right,
Take
thanks
care.
again. See you later. Bye-bye.